Antra. My guest for this evening is Danish Sayanee, the author of A Book Inside You. Danish is joining us from UAE. Thank you, Danish, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Antra. Thank you for the invite. It's really an honor.
Please tell us something about yourself.
I'm basically based in UAE, Dubai, but my roots are from Pakistan, Karachi. I came here during the pre-COVID time when I felt that my business is suffering from the same impact that everyone around the world was facing it. So I found some opportunity in Dubai, and Alhamdulillah, when I arrived here, I found my calling basically, and that is basically an education. So when I came here, I found schools who were much more accepting and inviting towards change, towards the impact that I actually wanted to create. So yeah, since then I'm here. It's been about you can say 1.5 years now that I'm here, and it's been great.
That's wonderful. So, what is the book, A Book Inside You, all about?
The story starts 3 years ago when I started workshops. By profession, I'm a trainer. I'm an educator. So whatever the topic is, it's my job to train schools, universities, teachers, parents, students, management. Uh, so I started this series. The book initially did not had this name. I started the series by the name of Become a Writer, and I found that a lot of students, even teachers, they used to come to me and they asked me how to write. Then after that, uh, how to publish. Then after that, how to market. So these were the three questions that everyone was asking who were interested in writing. So I started taking workshops on those particular things. I taught them how to write. I taught them how to find out publishers or even small magazines to publish their article or something or short story. And then I gave them the idea of how to promote these things. Either it's a small circle or it's a very large network. How you promote those things. So from those things, I started writing those sessions. Whatever I used to taught them, whatever the feedback I used to receive, those things actually improved what I needed to write. So it started out as a journal process. I used to journal those things, and then from there, it step by step created into a book. And when I came here, uh, so I found the right publishers to publish with them, Story Mirror, and they suggested this book name, A Book Inside You, and which was actually very appropriate in terms of the book, because Become a Writer is just telling you how to write, how to become a writer. Everyone is a writer who's even writing small pieces of articles or just writing their experiences every day or just journaling or just writing a diary. Even that person is a writer. But becoming an author, that's a whole package. Okay, that includes everything: publishing, targeting the audience, talking to them, identifying their needs and analysis, and then write something. So this title gave everything. So that's how the this title came into being, and since then it's been just amazing.
That's great. So, what actually led you to write A Book Inside You?
Like I said, it's a major issue, and I don't think it's only in Pakistan, but I think it's everywhere. India, Dubai, uh, it's everywhere that people who wants to write, they are struggling with the dilemma of how to write. And even if they know how to write, then the second problem comes in: what to write. I mean, they don't know how to write, but even if they learn how to write, they don't know what to write. How to write is a skill that can be creatively, and by practice you can enhance. That is a skill, how to write. But what to write, that's an inner creativity that doesn't come by learning something. That comes by innate creativity, practice, and trying to get inspiration from other people. So this book basically, uh, what I tend to do is not only I am not only trying to make them learn something, I'm trying to inspire them. I'm trying my hard to inspire them in order to get them to write something unique, something bestseller, right? Because an idea is only amazing if it's executed properly. Okay, there is no point of having an idea, it's not getting executed. Even as an entrepreneur, I have trained 25, 30 startups. So even those startups, if they are still on their idea stage and if they are not executing it, then there is no point of having an idea. There is just, uh, it's not fruitful at all. So become the book inside you, basically telling them not only to write, okay, but how to write, what to write. And after this process has been done, then how to look for publishers, then how to market it, and become something that they thought it was impossible, or they have only dreamed about, or they have only read different novels and always wondered that if they ever get the chance to become something like them, like I used to. At the age of 13, I read my first book, and since then I've been wondering that, I mean, how is it possible, how people write something so amazing and then they get published and their books are everywhere around the world and people are reading and enjoying it and learning something. So since then, this idea was in my mind, okay, but it has now been successfully executed with the right publishers at the right time and at the right moment. I was inspired at the age of 13 to write something, but truth be told, I was an awful writer. At the age of 13, I was an awful writer. I practiced. And I do want to share that this thing. I practiced in a way that maybe uh, it's people would find that it's illogical or something. But what I used to do was, whenever I read a book, okay, I used to rewrite it. I started out as summarizing it. Okay, I used to write a summary, which is very common. Everybody does it. Even schools ask you to do that. But what then I, challenged myself to write a chapter of that particular book, rewrite it in my own words. And with that, it started out as a chapter, then second chapter, then third chapter, and then uh, in a in 2 years or 3 years of gap, I was writing the whole book which I used to read. And that's how I developed the skill of writing. It wasn't innate, it wasn't something that comes out of inspiration or God given. No, I was a terrible writer at age of 13, but I practiced and practiced makes perfect. Okay, so anywhere in the world, whoever is listening, and if they think that they want to write a book but they're not a great writer, so trust me, if I can write, so can you. Everybody has the skill to practice. That's the perfect skill, and God has given you those skills that you can practice, and after practice you can become something great. I wrote my first novel at the age of 18. At the age of 18, and I've done many mistakes. I did an editorial mistakes, because of course when you are self publishing it, you are the writer, you are the editor, you are the publisher, you are the marketer. Everyone is you. Okay, so at the age of 18, a kid, I would say, even though I was a legal age, but I would still consider myself a kid who had no idea, who was just so happy that finally he has written a book. And when it was published with Amazon, so how much the terrible deal it was, I accepted it. Why? Because it was something that has been a long dream since the age of 13. Okay, so when it got published, I had a very terrible deal of 70-30 percentage of margin, which made me nothing, but I was just happy to get it published. So those mistakes that I have done throughout my life, since my first book till now, those mistakes are actually in this book. Whatever I've written, it's not internet search. No, it's not what the other people are doing. No, the things that I've written is the personal experiences of mine, that how I made mistakes, how I overcame it, how I did something different, how I marketed it, how I distributed it. So these are the personal experiences of mine which I created in terms of writing. And it also includes those feedbacks from the people that I have trained. The feedbacks are also there, because from those feedbacks I learned something new, and then I mentioned it in my book. Okay, so the best part about this book is that it's not only telling you how to write, but it is also telling you what to write, how to publish, how to market. And it is also telling you that the results that are showing in this book, the tips and tricks that are being used in this books are the personal experiences of mine. So it has already been tested, and then it has been published into the market. So it's a tested, it's proven, it's evidence based, and that it became into a book.
That is really, really inspiring. Tell us something about your journey as an author.
uh, Journey as an author has been, you can say, unknown, because when I was in Pakistan doesn't really have that many publishing house. Okay, and the publishing house that we have is entirely academic based. Now now the young youth of ours is trying to create more startups, publishing house as startups. Okay, self-publishing things. But again, self-publishing has always been a dilemma for everyone, because it requires you to do a lot of work. It entails you to do so much of hard work that as a writer, not everybody can do it. Okay, it's very tiresome. It requires a lot of attention and details and proactiveness. Okay, so it it was a difficult journey, because I had my own job. First I was studying, then I started with the job, then I started my own company. So the phases of my life, how it turns up, it actually affected my way of becoming an author. So that is why I've, you know, it has been a blessing that I came here, because from here the actual journey of an author started. Not because that in Pakistan nobody was accepting it. A lot of people were reading it. A lot of people actually asked me how these things work, and so many sessions I've done on writing that uh, a larger community actually accepted me as an author. But I myself was not able to accept myself as an author, because my goal was always to become a bestseller. It's my goal. Everybody has a goal, everybody has dreams. It was my dream to have something that people will remember years later. Okay, so I wanted to write up. That's why I completely switched myself towards fiction to non-fiction. I used to write fiction, but I changed completely to non-fiction. Why? Because fiction, no matter how good they are, until and unless they are something very much creative like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, it may not be remembered. But a non-fiction, which is actually teaching something, that will always be remembered. And that is also a very great, you can say, if I say in Urdu, it's neki. In our religion, it's neki. Why? Because you are writing something that is allowing a lot of people to write something of their own. So in short, you are teaching them to achieve their dreams. So it's a blessing basically. So I was uh, very much inspired by this particular thing, that whatever I'm writing, it's going to help a lot of people. So I need to make it a perfect. That's why this book took 3 years of time. If it was fiction, maybe a year. It would have been much more time. A year would have been very much. But since, because it's a non-fiction and the idea was always to make people learn something, so that's why it took a 3 years of journey.
So, how has changing your genre from fiction to a non-fiction book has impacted you as an author?
uh, when you're writing fiction, all you need to do is you need to be very much creative in terms of your imagination, in terms of your thinking. Okay, and that is very hard. I'm not saying that it's easy. It's damn hard. Okay, but all it requires is for you to think something very brilliant and very creative and very imaginative. Okay, but when you're writing a non-fiction, it actually helps you to learn a lot of things. Like if I'm writing about publishing only, I need to read about 100, 200 books just about publishing, because until and unless I don't know what is publishing, I may not be able to write it. Okay, but I can always create a world similar to Hogwarts or similar to Lord of the Rings, and I can write something on my own. Okay, that for that I don't need to read 1,000 books. I don't need to read 1,000 books. All I need is a perfect imagination, perfect creativity. That is difficult. I'm not saying all the fiction writers, please understand, you guys are awesome. Okay, I'm not saying that is easy part, but to actually write a non-fiction book, you need to equip yourself enough to write something absolutely perfect so that people can actually learn something and understand it, and then it helps them to achieve whatever they want. So in order for me to switch myself to fiction to non-fiction, I had to work a lot. I had to learn about these things. I had to learn different markets. I had to learn different marketing tactics. I had to learn the whole distribution channel. I had to learn how to write a non-fiction, because writing a fiction, writing a non-fiction, both are very different, very difficult. Okay, switching yourself to non-fiction to non-fiction, the perspectives, the point of views, okay, the notations, the stylist, the linguists, everything changes. So in order anyone who wishes to switch from fiction to non-fiction, you need to equip yourself enough. You need to learn a lot. You need to read a lot of non-fiction books in order to understand how it's been written, and whatever the category or whatever the topic that you have chose to write about, you need to be very much good at it, and for that you need to learn.
Do you think that there are enough resources to guide authors and writers?
If you look at the internet, it's been filled with resources. uh, I mean, just write on the Google how to write, and you will find millions of resources. Write how to publish, you will find millions of resources. Write how to market, you will find millions of resources. But write on the Google that is there a book which can give me all these details in such a way that it connects, then you won't find it. Because everybody who has written, and I mean wonderfully written, I have read a lot of these books. A personal favorite of mine is, whenever I talk about marketing, my personal favorite is Neil Patel and Seth Godin. I mean, these are the marketing gurus. uh, they have written wonderfully, and a lot of writers who have taught writing, they have written wonderfully. But what happens is that everybody is a professional of one thing, and they're talking about that particular thing. So what happens is, if I take myself as an audience, if I want to write and then publish and then market, then I have to read different books. One book is completely for writing, one book is completely for publishing, one book is completely for marketing. But there is no book which can give you all the details in one particular book, and it connects. In a story, you need to connect. So just like that, this non-fiction book has been written in such a way that it's actually storytelling them, that how you write a book, then how you publish it, and then how you market it. So it's connecting them. So if you say, are there resources available like this? I would say yes, 100%. But if you ask me, are there resources available similar to your book? Then I would say no, because this book required a lot of research. And after that research, I and the publishers, Story Mirror, they both of us uh, uh, found that no, this book can be something very amazing for the people who are very much interested in becoming an author.
My Startup TV is a channel for startups, entrepreneurs, MSMEs, artpreneurs. What are your views on it?
I would say magazines and channels like this, they can be very much helpful, because I personally, I started as a startup. I was an entrepreneur with a lack of knowledge of becoming an entrepreneur. So that's why I had to do another program, a complete specialization on business and leadership management. But for students who are coming from a field of engineering, or like myself, I was actually a student of literature. I have my degree in literature and linguistics. So a literature and linguistics, becoming an entrepreneur, it's a complete a field switch off. Okay. So there are a lot of people out there who are struggling with this dilemma of how to start it up, how to become an entrepreneur, how to manage your finances, how to identify profit and revenue. A lot of people, they don't know, they have no idea about these things. So magazines and channels like this, they can help them not only understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur, but also give them a lot of case studies of different successful business who started out as a startup. I still remember one session I had with a university, and when I told them that will you guys be taking out salaries from your own company? So the response that I received was, sir, why would we take salary? We will take profit. I told the man, you won't be able to make any profit in the first year, or even the second year, or maybe not even the third year. But if you're not going to take out any salary, then you will lack the motivation of to work. And in the end, the company will, you will lost your company. Why? Because you lack the motivation. If you're not at all financially, if you're not greedy, or if you don't think about money, okay, still you will have to take out salary. I mean, it's a very noble thought that you don't want to take out salary, you want to keep on investing in your company, but still money is a great motivation. You need to bear your expenses. So these sort of things, they impact a lot. They impact a lot in a company. And if youth, if they have no idea that taking out a salary is very important, and that is one of the examples, taking out a salary is not important, then they won't be able to make it. So your magazine and magazine like yours are a great help to help out kids, not only in India, but even in UAE, even in Pakistan, and even a lot of countries like us who are now progressing towards creating more and more startups.
Thank you so much, Danish, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite.